try to anyway. There must be a reason we end up at the same place at the same time. It happens every time when we're around. We always see each other in the crowd. Our friends just roll their eyes and say, "Here we go again." The story never ends. Oh, the story Heart beats fast when you come closer, and they all say that I should know better, but I can't stop, can't fight this feeling anymore. Oh, the story never ends. The story never ends.
Hi Nymphem, I hope you're all well. Welcome to the FPL Late Show. It's been a mad few weeks and it looks as if there are some differences about to happen in the style of play, probably starting more next game week. But you know, it's starting to crop up now with your Havertzes and your Watkins. It's all very interesting. As you can see, I am joined by my regular hosts Mira and Ellie, where we will dissect as much as we can. And you have to keep me updated on the Arsenal score in the chat, please, where you can. And if it's us losing, then I don't want to know, so don't bother telling me. So welcome, Ellie. You were on your way to Chelsea the last time we met. How did it go?
Yeah. Oh, wow. It feels like so long ago. It was amazing. Probably one of the best days of my life. Like,
Oh.
I was pitch side reporting for Chelsea, which was amazing. And I met a couple of players, Mason Mount, being one of them, my fave captain, Azpilicueta as well. They're super, super lovely. So it still feels like an absolute dream, but it was amazing. And yeah, I if I plug, I do have videos about the experience on my Instagram. If you guys want,
plug away. It's fine. It's fine. Head on over to Ellie's channel and check them out because they are super fun to watch. Even if you're not a massive Chelsea fan, it's still quite cool to see somebody meeting people you've admired for a long time. So that's really cool. And Mira, you've been off injuring yourself, my lovely. How are you doing?
Something like that. Yeah, I feel a bit broken on a couple of fronts, actually. So it's not been a great FPL week for me, but also I broke my toe playing football last week, and that's really painful. So I'm still recovering from that. So I'm like hobbling around, and it's put me out. So playing more football, of course, and also tennis and just moving in general. So yeah, it's pretty crap. But yeah, getting there.
Everyone put
Hopefully,
some hearts in the chat for Mira. Put some healing hearts in the chat for Mira.
Thank you. Much appreciated.
Oh, good, lovely. Okay, well, let's just swiftly move on then, shall we, to the hot topics of the week. And the first one, I think, has to be a bit of Haaland discussion. This feels very much like the keep or sell Salah wave we had a couple of weeks ago. So, should we be selling Haaland? Mez, thoughts on any of this? I know you were considering a potential wildcardy around now, which you can kind of go into a bit more detail later on. But is now the right time maybe to hop off of Haaland for a little bit for short term?
Well, look, it frightens me. So I'm actually thinking about doing it purely because he's blanking, so it makes sense. And then you're considering a double game weeker, so you've got those extra fixtures, right? So I think from a timing point of view, it's probably the best time to do it. I don't see. I'm probably going to jinx it now. I don't see Haaland getting injured like that. So jumping off of him, there's not going to be many opportunities anyway. So yeah, this is probably the best time to jump off and try and bring him back in, stat. I think they play Liverpool next. It's not the best fixture, it's not the best double for Liverpool. So if you were thinking about jumping off of Haaland, now's probably a good time. I'm definitely going to do it.
And Ellie, yourself?
I'm like 98% sure that I'm going to do Haaland to Kai Havertz. I've been kind of sitting on it for a bit now and thinking about it. I think maybe the 3 forward options that people are looking at least that I've seen, and maybe my Twitter is a little bit Chelsea centric, but it's Kai Havertz, Joao Felix, or Ollie Watkins. And I actually compared the 3 of them, and they're all really similar price points. Obviously, Ollie Watkins is like the more popular pick and he has higher ownership, but Kai Havertz and Watkins, Kai has averaged 4 points over his last 3 games and Watkins 5.3. But being a Chelsea fan, I'll tell you that Kai has gotten into some really good opportunities and has been a little bit unlucky. And Joao Felix, he doesn't have any goals or assists in his last couple of games for Chelsea, but he's hit the post about 5 times.
Yeah.
So he's just looking like he's due a goal as well. So if you want to go super punty, maybe consider him. I think I'm leaning a little bit more towards Kai Havertz because I think he's less of a minutes risk. But Joao Felix is guaranteed to play every game basically because Chelsea bought him on loan, but he came off at halftime versus Leicester. So kind of something to think about there.
Yeah. So if you could stick on the Chelsea lads then, and I know our next topic would be whether or not to consider getting in somebody like Chilwell because he seems massively popular this particular week. So would you consider selling somebody like a Stupinan for the likes of Chelsea? Ellie, I know you got Chilwell in on your wildcard, didn't you? So that was like epic, like fair play. You did really, really well there. So yeah, well done on that. But would you say to do that, for other people?
Yeah, I mean, I was honestly so proud of myself with this one because I followed my gut and I didn't see Chilwell in anybody's wild card draft. And I was like, I know from watching him with Chelsea that he's been getting into good positions, and Chelsea with the change of formation have been keeping clean sheets. So I'm just going to go for it. And then he scored a really nice goal. Chelsea, unfortunately, did not keep a clean sheet, which would have been the icing on the cake. So I would go for Chilwell. I don't want people to go for him because I want him to say differential. But basically, for any non-Chelsea viewers, Chelsea have changed formation. So now we're playing in a back 3/5 instead of a back 4. So this allows Chilwell and Reece James when he's fit, or Ruben Loftus-Cheek when Reece is out, to bomb forward more. So Chilwell's getting really, really far forward. He's really good attacking. He puts in really good crosses. He's also on set pieces, like corners as well. And he really is such a goal threat. And so I do think that I would try to get Chilwell into your team as quickly as possible. Basically, Chelsea play in game week 28, then have a double in 29. And the other thing is that they also play 3 games at home: Everton at home, Aston Villa at home, and Liverpool at home. Obviously, that Liverpool fixture really could go either way. But looking at Everton and Aston Villa, those are 2 games that you think are quite favorable fixtures. So I would definitely say, like, if you want to get on the Ben Chilwell train, I think it makes sense.
Why would you not go James?
He's injured. Well, he's been injured. So basically, Reece James has been coming back. He was injured in October. He came back in December. He came back for 1 game. He got re-injured. So he was out for a couple of weeks. Now he's been back in the side. He was back for one game. Then he felt tightness in his hamstring. So he was rested. Then he was back again. Then he was out through illness. So he just is like a little bit too injury prone at the moment. And he hasn't had a consistent set of game time. And the other thing I'll say is that Ruben Loftus-Cheek has actually played quite well in that right wing back spot. So it's pretty good coverage, surprisingly. But in that left wing back spot, you could have Cucurella play there, but he's played better as the left center back instead of the wing back. So I think that Chilwell is less of a rotation risk because I can't rely on Reece James to stay fit at the moment.
Yeah. Mez, are you considering Chilwell?
I am. So I'm actually considering, and I think there'll be many people who are considering a free hit at the moment as well. I think a lot of people have that on the cards anyway to sort of wildcard for free hit and then sort of bench boost over the next sort of, that 3-week game period. Yeah, look, I'm considering doing a wildcard, and I was previously considering not doing a wildcard like in between and sort of, not doing that before an international break as well. But I feel like I've got the luxury of actually, doing it now. Also because, I feel like I need to not necessarily stay with the pack so much, but there's at least like 5 or 6 players, and I know we're going to go through that a bit later. I've got at least 5 or 6 players, if not more, where I probably want to just switch them around a little bit. Like I'm not happy with the Arsenal mids that I may have, or the Brighton mids that I have, and the Newcastle defense that I may want to bring in as well, and Chelsea, of course. So yeah, I'm kind of considering if I went double up on the Chelsea defense, I've got Kepa as well, but it would be a triple up at that point. But there'll be some people who are on a free hit that would be considering James and Chilwell combination. So yeah, look, I'm definitely leaning on the Chilwell side, purely because of the little bit of consistency that he's providing and everything that Ellie said. So yeah, I'm close to that move.
I just wanted to touch upon before we move on, if we are considering Chilwell, for those of us that have wildcarded, like myself, that have, a playing back line and the majority of them potentially already doubling again in game week 29, I suppose the 2 names banded around at the moment for kind of making way for somebody like Chilwell are Henry and Estupiñán. Now, I think Estupiñán is up there because people are assuming that he will be going away to Australia. I think this has maybe been kind of...
I might be at that game, actually, one of them.
Oh, interesting. I'm wondering if there's been more put on it because he's an easy sell to Chilwell, because if you really look at who's leaving for international break and where they're going, I mean, we've got quite a lot of our FPL teams being shipped all over the world for international break. So are we maybe being a little bit too cautious or worried about this? Any thoughts?
Yeah, I think I'm going to jump straight in and say, yeah, I think we are being a little bit too cautious about it. So you're absolutely right. There's, international games all the time. People are, players are sort of going all over the world, coming back, and then playing. So yeah, we already knew that as well. So anyone who brought Estupiñán in, you already knew that going into, the next couple of game weeks where he was going to be with the, Ecuador squad. I actually ran a poll yesterday for a couple of hours on Twitter around, what is everyone doing with Estupiñán if you have him? So I think I had the, do you have him and keeping him, bringing him in, or removing him for someone? So I think I had like 80 votes or something, which is not much in a couple of hours, but 66% are have him and keeping him. And then only an 8.8% are thinking about bringing him in. And actually 25% are thinking about removing him. And I'm wondering if that's actually a bit of a confirmation bias as well. Like it's a narrative that actually I want Chilwell and I'm looking for an excuse to remove, Estupiñán. And I'm leaning towards Estupiñán because he's going all the way to Australia. It is far. I've done that trip many a times, right? But is that a bit of a narrative that people are sort of convincing themselves with? Because they want to bring Chilwell in, and the only player that they're a little bit tentative about is Estupiñán. But his minutes were always a bit of a a factor anyway. He's usually coming off at that sort of 60 minutes plus 70 minutes sort of mark anyway. So is it really an issue? I don't think so.
Yeah. No, I think I agree. Do you agree, Ellie?
Yeah, like to be honest, I've never really taken so much the international break into consideration because it's just like anything can happen. And I don't know, like, I just don't really play like that. That's just not how I played the game.
Yeah.
I would look more at their fixtures, and Brighton do have tough fixtures from game week 30. They have Spurs away, Chelsea away, and then Man City at home. So like those 3 game weeks, I'm thinking, okay, that's kind of tipping me into, okay, should I bring somebody else in? Personally, like in my, well, I don't know if we'll get into our team, but I have Henry, I have Estupiñán, and I have Chilwell and Trippier in the back line and Zinchenko.
Oh, okay.
So I kind of have all of them, and I was able to fit all of them. I've seen a couple of people do like a Newcastle double up.
Yeah, I've got the Newcastle double up. Yeah.
And so yeah, I don't know, kind of it's making me doubt it now having this conversation, you know, if we should keep him or not. It's something that I definitely would have to think about, but I think I'm probably just going to keep him for game week 29, see how they play versus Spurs, and then maybe take it from there, or see if anybody else comes. Because Newcastle, I don't know, like they haven't been keeping clean sheets either, so I'm not super like drawn towards a Newcastle double up either. So I don't know. I think I'm just gonna sit on it for now.
Yeah, that's fair. Just before we move on, we do have a super chat from Seller, so thank you very much. Is Phil Billing a good differential shout? What do we think of Billing? I know we're going to talk a little bit about maybe one of his teammates later on, but yeah, Mez, you take this one?
Slightly sort of recency bias maybe as well. But look, you know, they played pretty well against Liverpool, and Phil Billing is a really. I was actually in between sort of considering Billing and another Bournemouth player that we're going to talk about anyway. Yeah, I think it's a good shout for a differential for sure. Yeah, and they double as well, so yeah.
Yeah, Ellie.
Yeah, I think like if you want to go super differential, I mean that it's 1.1% owned, so you're not going to get any more differential than that. So it could be a good option. I just don't know who you necessarily take out in your midfield in order to make way, like for
that's the problem, isn't it?
Yeah,
because the midfield spots are like really sort of, it's tight real estate at the moment.
Yeah, it's so super hard to kind of squeeze him in. I think I'm very much on Mira's wavelength, as in I love it for a differential, but I don't know like who you take out or like who you'd kind of pit him above in order to bring him in. Like if he's going to kind of afford you somebody else somewhere else, you know, that you really want, then I think it's a good differential. Otherwise, you know, you might need to let us know, Esalaire, what who you're thinking of for taking him out for, or you know, or who you'll be pitting him up against. Okay, so the last topic, we might need to be a little quicker on this one, is who we are considering as our captain. So with no Haaland in the picture, it's left the floor wide open this week for captaincy. Can we be a little bit different this week, Ellie? Your thoughts?
Yeah, it's a hard one. I think for me, I'm really between Kane and Tony. And just looking, I'm just checking who each one has. So Tony, Leicester at home, I think is a favorable fixture, and then Kane has Southampton away, obviously bottom of the league, and I feel like Spurs' form has been kind of like up and down, but Harry Kane has like more or less consistently scored. And I looked at their average points over the last 3 game weeks, and they both have 7 points average, so they're really close. And I think Tony has 2 goals and 1 assist, and Kane has 3 goals. So those are the 2 that I'm really looking at. I don't think that I'm really going to go for quite a differential captain pick. Right now my armband is on Kane, but what about you guys?
So I'm between Saka and Kane at the moment. And Saka being rested tonight does make me kind of potentially lean a little more in that direction. But Kane feels like the kind of standout option. Mez?
Yeah, I'm kind of like, it's wide open for me at the moment because I'm trying to obviously, wildcard as well. Yeah, I'm probably going to be between Saka and Kane. A little bit leaning towards Kane, and I don't know if that's because I've been hurt by Kane so many times this season so far, and just last week alone as well. So yeah, I'm very much tempted to bring in Kane and captain Kane. But the whole Saka sort of benching, is he actually out of the squad for tonight, or is he
No,
sort
I
of
think
is he
he's
benched and he
I
may
assume
come
he's
on?
still on the bench because we need to win this. And I've just seen that Xhaka's scored. Wow.
Nice.
Go on, Granite. So yeah, that was great timing, Mez. You must have been like psychically
yeah, couple of good feelings. There you go.
Yeah, he's on the bench. I thought he would be, seen as we need to win it. So yeah.
Yeah, I feel like the Palace home fixture for Arsenal is a really good one. You could actually captain any of the Arsenal mids, right? Like your Martinelli's on fire at the moment as well. So yeah, he'd be a really good shout. I'm trying to work out which combination to actually bring, in. And but I'm a little bit more leaning towards Kane.
Okay. Cool. Okay, well, let's move on to our collective differential. This player is an under 10% differential player and covers 1 to 3 game weeks. Our pick this week definitely comes from us having a bit of a Chelsea intellect on our panel, and we have gone for the aforementioned Havertz. He is just 4.8% owned currently and has 6 goals and 1 assist for the season so far. Ellie, I know you touched upon him a little more earlier. Would you like to tell us a bit more now? Oh,
Sorry, I'm muted. It's Kai Havertz, sorry.
Yeah, Kai Havertz.
Yeah, sorry, I kind of like went forward too much.
Yeah, it's all
when
right.
I spoke. Sorry. But briefly again, just to recap in case there's anybody new that's just joined in. Chelsea change of formation, looking really good. 3 wins in a row or more. Leeds, we won. Dortmund, we won. Leicester, we won as well.
I know she's like, we
There's
won.
not that many.
We won.
There's not that many. You've got to be able to keep count.
I know, but it's just so long since we had this streak. I think it's 3 in a row now. But really big game versus Dortmund, and I think that we played quite well versus Leicester as well. So I think that he's really developing a good relationship with Joao Felix and Enzo as well. If you guys saw that Leicester City goal, it was just like a crazy assist by Enzo, and the finish by Kai was just super casual. And he's getting into those good positions. So that's why he's somebody that I'm definitely thinking of, because Chelsea have really favorable fixtures, and he doesn't blank in game week 28.
Okay, cool. Mira, anything you'd like to add to any of that?
He's on my radar as well. I've been seeing a lot of tweets around is it going to be Havertz or Watkins that people bring in, and I'm sort of like, I'm gonna have them all. So yeah, why not? And that's the I don't know, the upside or the downside of wildcarding a little bit later, and it is just a little bit later, but it means that options like these, you can make a decision, around that. But yeah, he's definitely on my radar just for the next couple of game weeks. He may make way for Haaland again when I bring him back. But at the moment, given their home fixtures, it seems really appealing.
Sorry, I've just seen in the chat Tomiyasu and Saliba both subbed off with injuries. Oh no. 2 penalties turned down for Arsenal too. Ah! Yeah, it's just amazing with all the chat really that we're looking at Havertz at 4.8% owned really, isn't it? And that he is actually a differential. So that's quite interesting. Cool. Okay then. Well, let's move on then to our goals and gossip. And Mira, who would be a goal from this team then, seeing as you can have the pick of whoever you want this week, potentially?
Oh, well, look, I'm going to pick March.
That's gonna
there's
be
been-
my pick.
Yay!
Oh, okay. You can have the March pick then. I was going to give a slightly unbiased kind of view of it. So I don't own March, and
Please,
I was literally grabbing the popcorn when the drama was going down on Twitter with his points.
I was so
So-
I don't get mad
he
over
looked-
FPL, like I don't. But this made me mad. I was like,
I know.
Oh,
I
you
saw
got
your
mad.
messages, and I was like, "Oh shit, she's mad."
She mad.
Yeah, it was pretty crap, right? Like even now they've not, so Premier League have obviously recognized the goal, but and given him credit for it, but the points and all of that, it's just so bizarre. Anyway, that's a whole other topic, I'm sure. But yeah, I'm gonna go with March just because he looked so good as well. And I think a lot of people went with Matoma or McAllister, and McAllister obviously with the pens and sort of playing that that role where he's just seems to be there for most of the goals anyway. But yeah, look, March looked really, really good. If anything, I had FOMO because I only brought in Matoma, and I was happy with that because he got some returns. But yeah, March for me definitely sort of looks appealing. Am I going to bring him on my wild card? Maybe.
Ooh.
Maybe not. I'm not sure.
Ellie, do
There's
you
only 50-50 decisions.
actually before we move on, I'll just say on that yeah, I was sure that we wouldn't get it because since they changed the rules, I just kind of knew, but I really wanted them to give them for Ellie because I knew that you'd captain March, but I didn't actually get to see the game because we couldn't see it over here in this country.
Oh, okay.
So I don't actually know how well March did, but it's kind of stuffed up my plans a little bit, which I will be chatting about a little bit with my team. But he was going to be my make way this week, and now I feel like I can't sell him now. So yeah, Ellie, who would you choose? Who would be your goal from this team?
I think like Harry Kane is like a very obvious shout. Gabriel, like Arsenal defense, even though Arsenal don't have doubles, I'm still looking at Arsenal defense. So I think
Not
like
now
that
if
could
half
be-
of our defence is injured.
true,
Mez, you might
but
want to consider
the
getting off.
news
Double up
I
on
am.
Chelsea.
But I'm super curious to hear your thoughts as an Arsenal fan on Trossard because a hat trick of assists. Do you think that he's kind of like a goal for you, like a viable FPL asset?
You know what? I don't know, and the honest answer is because I just don't know what he's going to do in terms of Jesus. So Jesus is playing tonight. He started tonight, so that would suggest that he's fit now, and he's able to play. I kind of feel like it's a question a week too early, as like awful as that sounds, because I think the weekend will give us a lot more of a picture, hopefully, of how he's planning on setting up his team. Like Arteta is going to set up his team going forward, and then I feel I can be a bit more clearer on Trossards and things like that. But for the moment, like I like seeing Odegaard and Saka and Gabriel rested. That maybe suggests to me is Martinelli maybe at risk for the weekend. So it's just a bit messy at the moment to try and predict. I'm in the Arsenal group that Emma runs, and it's so difficult at the moment to predict what team we'll have just because of Jesus needing to slot back in, and once we've got a game or two under our belts with him back in, then maybe we can be a bit more, but because he's a minute's risk, I am really reluctant to say go for him. But I am just so happy that he's slotted in, as well as what he has, and that he's doing as well as what he is, because I think I won't be one of the only Arsenal fans saying we're quite disappointed not to have got Mudryk. So the fact that Trossard's done well.
Sounds like it's been a good transfer all round, right? Like Brighton are doing really well without Trossard. So yeah, it seems like a good deal for both.
So who's our gossip then? Who are we staying away from in this team?
I can give a controversial take.
Go on.
If I were wildcarding this week, I wouldn't bring in Tony.
Okay. Yeah.
Reason why: he's one yellow card away from having a 2-game suspension now, and it's something that I'm looking at in my team, that like for me it'd almost be a blessing if he gets the yellow card in this game. Agreed. Because then I know I can just transfer him out and bring Watkins in, and it kind of settles my headache. But I'm thinking for a double game week 29, do I stay with Tony and him potentially get a yellow card in the first match and then miss the second match? I think that's a really big headache right now. So if I were wildcarding now, I would go for Havertz, Kane, Watkins, and stay away from Tony.
Ooh, okay. You can tell us a little more about that in a second then, Mez, but who would be your gossip from this team?
McNeil. I think everyone was really hot on him, with Tarkowski as well. I brought in Tarkowski. I would probably say McNeil. I don't know. I feel like Everton haven't quite sort of. I mean, look, they kept a clean sheet. Clean sheet.
That was good of them.
I don't know. That's TMI. Maybe they do. Who knows?
It's early in the morning. She hasn't had a coffee yet. Or she's halfway through coffee.
I'm trying.
You go, girl. You got this.
I don't know. It feels like it was let's bring in, some of the Evertonian, players, but it hasn't quite worked out. So I probably wouldn't go there. No.
And just to follow up on that, I think I probably wouldn't go for one of the Southampton defenders. I mean, they've been all right, but I don't know. I'm not sure I'm feeling that right now. They'd probably be my gossip. Okay, cool.
What about can I actually ask you a question about Gabriel? Gabriel.
Makes him sound angelic,
A lot of people went. A lot of people went Zinchenko if they had White. I haven't seen many people go for Gabriel. Like, why? Gabriel's obviously scored. If you had to pick now between Zinchenko and Gabriel, who would you pick?
That's a great question. So for me, I was on Gabriel like literally the whole of my wild card. And then on the last day, I just thought, I fancy a bit of spice, a bit more of a punt. I fancy doing something a little different. You know what? I'll take out Gabriel and put Zinchenko in. And that's about as spicy as it got for me. I think because literally there's wild card and the template's so strong at the moment. And every week, even this week when I wanted to try and do something different, it's now just become so obvious on potentially what to do that I feel like it was kind of my only way to try and be a tiny bit spicy, I guess, with it all. But I don't think there's a problem with either, and I think you're safer with Gabriel, especially him getting the rest this evening. No, I think they're both decent picks, and I don't think there's anything wrong with either of them. I think you're probably better in a way to go for Gabriel because he's going to be the safer, more nailed pick. So Zinchenko's just a tiny bit more exciting, I guess, because there is that potential that, you know, in one game he could pop off, maybe get a goal, assist a couple of times. Like, it's, you know, it's not Chilwell worthy, but, you know, there's just that tiny bit of, oh, he could do. Do you know what I mean? Whereas with Gabriel, you're kind of hoping on those headers, but every now and again he gets one and he does his job, and he's a bonus point magnet. So yeah. Absolutely nothing wrong with either. I'm sorry that hasn't helped, has it? I would go Gabriel. He's the safer option. So there we go. Nailing math there for you. Cool. Okay. Where were we? We were moving on to our 1 week punts, wasn't it? Cool. Okay then. So, where we're going to move on to our punty player, our under 10% owned for just 1 week only. And you get to choose one too to pit against us. So if you're in the chat right now, do make sure you get in who your punty pick under 10% this week would be. And then I'll put it to a poll and you guys can vote and let us know, and it will go up against us. Before I move on to our picks this week, Ellie, do you know how we got on? Yes, I forgot to ask you, so I was a little bit nervous there.
I know, I actually like just remembered it. I was like, oh my god, I have to do this because I've been nonstop, literally the entire.
You got to do maths.
The entire day. I've been like work, content, no break. So basically, Nim's pick was Solomon he got 1 goal, so that's 5 points. So you have a total of 13.
Come on.
Mine was, what? Oh, I was like, did I look at the wrong theme? Because I had it written down, but it was 2 weeks ago.
No, I'm
so
celebrating.
Like, oh, okay.
I'm on a comeback.
I picked Estupinian and they kept a clean sheet. I think I read it right. Hold on, let me just double check that I read it the right way, because I'm a little bit nervous that my eyes are playing tricks on me because I don't remember celebrating. So they won. Okay, they did keep a clean sheet. Okay, so he kept a clean sheet, so that's 5 points. So I have 15. Mira went for Embuemo. Nothing happened there. You're on 16, and the chat pick was Madison, and he didn't score or assist either. So the chat's on 14. So we have Nim 13, chat 14, 15,
getting close to you, chat. Coming for you. There's 1 point in it. And they're putting out some good names tonight. Loving these picks, guys. Keep them coming in.
Yeah, there's some good ones.
When I have a couple of each, I'll put a poll out. Okay, then let's move on to our one then for this week. So, after my run of recent success, I have gone for another low-owned player, just 1.8% owned. This strategy seems to be working out for me, so I'm going to stick with it. I was going to go for Sonny here, actually. So Son and Barnes have kind of been like in the back of my mind all week. But I've gone more differential than that, like more differential than Son and more differential than Barnes. And I've gone for Isaac of Newcastle. He is suffering from a bit of irregular minute syndrome at the moment, as I like to call it, but he's looked great in the time that he has played. He's only posted 1 goal in the last 4 games, but I'm going for potential here. He is against Forest if he starts, so there's hope, but he's definitely a punt based on the eye test. So yeah, that's who I've gone for. Ellie, you've gone for a bit more of a kind of known pick, I guess, in the community this week.
To be fair, when I picked it, it wasn't such a known pick. Yeah, when I brought Chilwell in, he was like 2% owned. Now he's like, well, I can look at the graphics, 6% already. No way.
Yeah.
Oh,
and that's probably gone up as well now because people will be making transfers this evening. So
it's an early deadline, so there'll be loads now.
Yeah.
When I brought him in my team, he was like 2.5%. When I made the pick, he was like 4%. Now he's already 6%. I've already spoken about him. Why I think that he's a good pick, good for a clean sheet, good for goals and assists going forward. Oh, but that's mad. I'm so sad.
All you care about is people not owning him.
Yeah, I want to keep my differential.
Mira, talk us through your pick.
So maybe a little bit more recency bias again coming from me. So look, I've gone with Solanke, and at 5.5 mil and only 1.9% owned. I think he could be a really good, 1 week punt. I think there's a lot of people that are thinking about going with Watkins and Havertz and maybe overlooking a Solanke. And if you're free hitting, it could be a really good shout if you want some funds left over. If you're wildcarding, that is, then great. You've got that as well. But look, Solanke's actually nailed in that Bournemouth side. Unlike, actually, Ellie, I messaged you about like Havertz and being a minute's risk, and not sure, is he a minute's risk? Maybe, but Solanke's definitely nailed in the side. So if you've already got Watkins, you're not too sure about Havertz, then yeah, look, Solanke's another option there as well. He's actually returned in the last sort of 4 matches, like with 2 assists, and he's been involved in at least sort of like, I think it's about 40% of Bournemouth's total goal contributions, which is actually quite a lot. And if you think about it, that's actually more than Havertz has contributed in the total goal contributions. Sorry, these are no digs at Chelsea, but he's actually contributed a little bit more in the total that Bournemouth have had over the in the season so far. So, and they've got a double. So if you are bringing him in, you could probably hold him for the double as well. If you're thinking about sort of bench boosting or something, he could be a really good shout. And they're playing Villa, and then they've got 2 home doubles as well. So yeah, just a very low owned people that are not really thinking about this pick. And obviously Billing came up in the conversation earlier, so Billing's a really good one as well. But yeah, I think the Bournemouth guys, they just seemed really, and I don't know if that was because they were playing against Liverpool, and yeah, I'm quite sad about that, but they did look pretty good. So yeah, Solanke's my pick.
Cool. Well, yeah, so I've put the poll out, guys. You have to choose between Sun, Billing, and Felix. Sun is winning right now. Just letting you know, technically, if you win with Sun, then I won too, because I mentioned him. Especially seeing as you're only 1 point ahead of me. But, not that we're getting competitive up in here or anything.
No, not at all.
Okay, let's move on to the team chat and Q&As. So if you have any Q&As for us, guys, get them in the chat and we will do our best to answer them for you. And we will move on to our team chat in the meantime. So this is my current team. I have put out my team selection on the channel. I don't know if you guys have seen, but I made a bit of a shift towards doing some more short-term content. Pretty much giving you guys everything I would normally give you in a week in long-form content, but in shorter form content. So please let me know what you think about that, because I need to know whether it's a good idea to carry on doing that going forward. But yes, you will find my team selection in a short, less than 1 minute on my channel. So yeah, this is basically how it's lining up at the moment. And yeah, I suppose my main dilemma this week is whether I sell March and go for a likes of a Maddison or a Barnes, who would be that kind of spicy pick, I guess, like your old Gabriel and Zinchenko, Maddison versus Barnes situation. But I do feel like I'm kind of leaning more towards the Haaland hokey cokey. I really don't want to sell Haaland. I did not want to sell him at the beginning of the week. I didn't want to sell him in the middle of the week, and I really don't want to sell him now. But
Have you got value tied up in him?
About 0.3. I think it was 0.4, and then he dropped, so it's 0.3. But then I've been quite lucky. I've built up quite a nice TV as the weeks have gone on, so I feel like I can probably afford it. And we're getting towards the end of the season now, with less than 10 game weeks. You really have to start kind of maybe thinking about these things. But I definitely want him back for that Liverpool match. So if I sell him, it's definitely on the premise that I will be getting him back for that Liverpool match, even though he doesn't double. I mean, there's a lot that could happen in a week, of course, in a couple of weeks, of course, with international break, that may make me change my mind for not wanting to have him back. But I don't think there's the universe where I like the idea of sitting and watching Haaland play against any team, to be honest, especially after the other night when he smashed away those 5 goals, of which I was watching that match. And seeing how, Liverpool have that slight weakness at the back at the moment, where I want to sit through that really. So I think if he goes, he will be coming straight back for me. But I think, as I said in my video, Tony getting the yellow card makes it slightly easier, or it feels like it's slightly easier for me, because it's not then, directly, oh, who do I sell out of Watkins and Tony and Kane, and they all have doubles and stuff like that. You know what, just even looking at Tony's fixtures for that 29, and now him having that yellow card, like Ellie said, if he missed that first one of that, if that double, then then he doesn't get that extra match. I think I'd still rather Haaland in that time than than Tony over that time. So just something to kind of think about there for me. Okay, so whose team do I have lined up next? Ellie, would you like to talk us through your team, lovely?
Surely. So last week I actually did really well, which never happens. So I was quite happy.
Yes, tell everyone how many points you got.
I got 106 points.
Woo! She's not in the 105 club, she's in the 106 club.
Yeah, and I had Trippier and Zinchenko on my bench, so that was 5 and 6 points. I was expecting to have points on my bench. But if I had maybe put them in for Saka and Rashford, which I don't think I would have done, but have 5 defenders. But I was really happy because I feel like I haven't followed my gut this season, and then I followed my gut with Jehl. I followed my gut with bringing Madison into my team early as well, and now people are looking to bring them in. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, no, you did really well. Like, you did that thing that I was talking about earlier with the whole Zinchenko Gabriel thing. You kind of you've chosen solid picks, but then you've kind of added a bit of spice. So you chose March, you knew he was a popular pick, but you captained him, so you just kind of, that's, I think, in a season like this where you need to be differential, I suppose.
Yeah, and it was so close to paying off for me, so close.
Oh, yeah, you were robbed. You were absolutely robbed.
I was. I'm so upset. But looking at my team, basically the bench picks itself since Brighton and United blank. Right now I have 9 players, and I do think I'm going to transfer out Haaland. I think it's going to be for Kai Havertz. I'm really between Havertz and Ollie Watkins. I don't know which way to go, to be honest.
What is your gut telling you? Because you followed that last week and it did well.
I know.
I feel like you're leaning towards Havertz, if I'm honest.
I think my head's telling me Watkins, but my heart's telling me Havertz.
Get them both.
Yeah, just take a hit and sell Tony this week.
Yeah, just that yellow card's coming, just do it early, rip it off, band-aid like that.
Yeah. So I don't know. That's kind of like what I'm thinking about is, okay, do I bring in Havertz? And I'm kind of looking at the fixtures as well, and now I'm thinking Saka hasn't done anything really in the past. Well, it's only been 2 game weeks, but I feel like I don't know why I just feel like it's been so long, and maybe because Odegaard and Martinelli have been getting returns that I'm just like, oh, do I still want to keep him? And I'm also, I don't know, I wasn't thinking about taking Estupinian out of my team now, but now I'm looking at the crazy.
But you love him, literally, he's like your talisman. Every
You're
week,
betraying him.
You're like, stupid.
I know, but I'm looking at game week 30, 31, 32.
That's ages away. You can ship him out then.
That's a future Ellie problem.
Yeah, that's a future problem. I think right now my problem is Watkins or Havertz.
Okay, cool. Right, just to let you know, the chat has chosen Son. They have settled on Son. It was close. It was 50% of the votes, but it was split between Felix and Billing for 34% and 14%. So yeah. Okay, Mira. talk us through your talk us through why you're wildcarding, although I think we can probably see why you're considering it.
Well, it's a bit harsh. It's all right.
No, I'm joking.
People are thinking about sort of playing like 8 players
I know,
in 28
no,
and
I'm
9
just winding
players,
you
you
up.
know.
Just winding you up.
I know. I'm just I'm winding you up.
I mean, I think this is
Um,
fine. Just Captain Saka and away you go.
yeah, maybe. Yeah, it could. Yeah, that could work as well. Look, I feel like wildcarding mostly because I want a bench boost in 29. So that's what's driving me, you know, a little bit more. It might not be the best time to bench boost. Maybe that was the previous game week. So if you bench boosted in the previous game week, well done. Because there was some huge numbers
I
left
feel
on
like
the
I got off
bench.
slightly lightly with that, because I don't think I had quite as many points on my bench as other people. Still a lot,
I didn't.
but
I mean,
not
I've still
quite
got
as many.
Bueno on my bench at the moment.
Chocolate
Well,
Bueno.
having said that, I've still seen a few people with Cancelo on their bench. So bizarre. There you go.
Ooh,
But
wow.
yeah, look, I'm thinking about the wildcard because of the bench boost that I want to do. I wouldn't normally if I haven't sort of considered doing a wildcard just before an international break. It's not usually a good time to do it. But I rather sort of, you know, just change up my team a fair bit that I want the way I want to.
This is tough
and I'm
because you're half
literally-
and half, aren't you? Like, I had this problem last season with my second wild card. I remember this vividly, where like half of my team was literally everyone's wild card already, and the other half of my team wasn't, and I was really unsure whether I'd just take a couple of hits and try and get as close to the wild card as possible, or just go for it.
I disagree. I'm actually doing a fair bit different to what you guys wildcarded in 26. So
no, what I mean is now your current team. So you've got like your likes of Tony, Matoma, White,
but I'm not
Trippier.
I'm not happy with it. If I go through it, I'm not really happy with it.
No, of course not.
For instance, I'm thinking about, you know, a double Newcastle defense, for instance. Some people are considering 3s. But I want to change up my Arsenal defense. I want to bring in Chilwell, for example. I really wouldn't mind having Maddison in the team as well. Do I really want to have, you know, Saka and Odegaard going into 28? Maybe I do. Maybe I want to change that up as well. And we've just been talking a fair bit in this stream about having, you know, Kane, Watkins and Havertz as your front line as well. So so I'm actually thinking about changing up more than, you know, 6 or 7 players, which is why it makes sense for me to wildcard. I just would be a little bit hesitant before the international break, but I'd rather take that risk. And I'm okay to, you know, I feel like I'm in a good position to take that risk as well. Yeah, I didn't have a great game week. You know, I think I landed on about 70 points or so. And I had taken a few hits along the way, but I feel like I've, you know, gained a lot in the previous game, like in game week 26, because I had some of the Liverpool guys in my team still, and then obviously they didn't do so well. So it kind of like, even with the hits, it sort of broke even with most of the wildcarders anyway. So
it was a
bit
lucky
of a
week for the wildcarders.
Yeah, like I went from like, you know, I think it was 18.5k to 6k back to sort of, you know, 19k now. So it's kind of not been that different. So for me, it makes sense to think about doing the wild card, changing a few things around. All these predicaments that I'm seeing that everyone is having, I feel like I can sort of incorporate that into my wild card now, and be a little bit more ahead and consider the future game weeks by sort of 3 or 4 game weeks ahead, rather than sort of, you know, having too many Brighton players, too many Brentford players in my team, and like people are.
The thing is, though, don't Brighton still double
well.
like another 2 times or something for the rest of the season? I think they do. That's the other reason why I was considering keeping a Stupinan.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
and it's the combination, right? So you know, there's a lot of you guys who have your Brighton mids already set. So you now want to change maybe one of them, and you're thinking about removing. A lot of people are thinking about removing a Stupinan. So I feel like I'm already ahead of that curve of like changes, and there could be a couple of hits incoming as well. And I can actually field, you know, 10, 11 players in 28, which is maybe on par with a lot of, you know, people that have wildcarded, or, you know, maybe a bit more ahead, because there's some people that are thinking about playing only 9.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I am just looking at your team though, thinking a -4 of Darwin to Kane and Salah to Madison or somebody of that elk, or Son or Son and Watkins, if you could get them, actually wouldn't make your team look a whole lot that terrible this week.
No. And if I was just thinking about 1 week, then yeah, absolutely, that would make sense. But if I want a bench boost, probably not the best moves for that.
Yeah, of course, because you wouldn't be able to bench boost if you wildcarded. Yeah, I was just thinking, obviously, that allows you then to get through the international with a wild card. But yeah, of course, if you wanted to bench boost, then yeah, kind of feels like you're into that, really. Okay, cool. We just did a couple of questions then, which we'll very quickly do once I've changed the graphics back, which is that one. Cool. Josh, FPL Josh says, is Salah a hold or go with Madison? So, of course, Salah has the double the other side of this blank. Mez, I feel like we come straight back to you, really, on that one, because you're kind of the Liverpool fan and obviously you have Salah in your team. What do you think? Is he a hold?
I think he could be really good for 29 if you're contemplating keeping him. It's because you don't have other problems in your team, and you don't want to bring in like another double game weeker that has more potential to score higher. And it's possible that Salah will outscore others as well. So even though it's a tough one, I feel like Liverpool can and do usually perform against some of the bigger sides anyway. And the City Liverpool matches are usually like high scoring, and it's usually not what we think as well. And Haaland doesn't usually sort of score too big against Liverpool, but he could as well. So yeah, look, I think in terms of keeping Salah, I think if you don't have any other problems, then it wouldn't be such a bad idea, because we'll probably want to bring back some Liverpool players later on anyway.
Ellie, any thoughts on that one?
Liverpool for me is so hard. Obviously, I don't watch them week in, week out like Mira, but I just look at their consistency. I thought that they actually played quite well against Real Madrid, but that's the thing that I struggle with, is that they can play so well against one team and then have a terrible game the next. And so for somebody like Salah, who is so expensive, like I just don't know if it's worth it. And I think for me, it's not worth it. And they have like a double in 29, but 2 away fixtures to Man City, Chelsea, and they play Arsenal at home. And I think like for me, it's just like a little bit, obviously everything is unpredictable and anything can happen, but I don't know. I look at the form plus the fixtures and I'm not drawn towards it.
Cool. So Salah says he took Salah out to bring in Billing. Wow, so that was that transfer in order to have the cash to bring in Kane. Is it a good transfer? Yes, no answers.
Yeah.
Yep. Ellie? Yeah. Cool. Yeah. Is Otora a shout over Billing and Solanke as a Bournemouth asset? I don't know too much about him, if I'm completely honest.
He looked really good. I think they all did, but then I don't know if that's because Liverpool just dropped the ball after the 7-0 battering that they gave to United. So I had to squeeze that in there. Yeah, I don't know. Don't know enough either.
Cool. And then we have one. I'm so sorry. I will not be able to pronounce that, so I'll call you Sham for short. I hope that's okay. I have Kilman, but I think it's a clean sheet. What do we think on Wolves keeping clean sheets for the next game?
Who are they playing?
Leeds.
Oh yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
When's
it's
Rodrigo
decent,
back?
isn't it?
Is Rodrigo back? Has he been back?
No, I don't think so. I don't remember seeing him anyway in the last couple. It's been like Bamford scored, didn't he? So I think, yeah, so I don't think he's back
And
yet.
Harrison, right?
Yeah. Oh, should I take Saliba out this week over his injury concern? I think that's only just happened, so I don't think we have enough information on that, unfortunately. Sorry. Thanks, Total Tactics. Okay, wait, Weeby says, I'm on my wildcard. Feel it's time to catch up with wildcard 26ers. So there we go. Mez, you've potentially got a fellow wildcarder there. He's tempted by the James and Chilwell double up. So Ellie, that's a good one for you to answer. Would you double up on Chelsea defence if you were on a wild card?
I'm doubled in the sense that I have Chilwell and Kepa. It's kind of what I was saying, that Reece James for me has just been too injury prone, so we just don't know if he's going to play. Like when he plays, he's one of the best players on the team, and he's one of the first names on the team sheet. But he's been playing like every other game at this point, so I think like it could be a good option. But maybe if you want to do a Chelsea double up, maybe do Kepa and Chilwell, just because I'm not sure. Like he could be fine, or he could just miss the game. Like we just don't know. I do think that he trained and he should be fine for Everton, but going forward, it could be a liability.
Yeah, Mez, you is that why you asked about James earlier? Was it for the potential double up?
Yeah, it was more to go with one of them. I don't think if I was free hitting, I'd be considering both of them, because it's a free hit. But for the wild card, I am tempted by Havertz, and I've already got Kepa, and I don't want to lose Kepa. So yeah, I'm only going to go with one of them, and probably Chilwell.
Okay. Right, that's it, you guys. We are going to have to wrap it up there because it's the start of Mira's day and the end of mine and Ellie's. So thank you all for watching and for the support in the chat tonight. As always, please do drop a like and subscribe and hit the notification bell. We are going to be taking a bit of a break for a few weeks over the international break, where I'll be having a little look at a restructure of the format a little bit. So do let me know on Twitter what you like and what you don't like about it. Maybe we're going to add a few more Q&As. And also we need to figure out our time zones, because it's all about to go quite berserk for all three of us. So we need to see if it's even possible to continue on at the times that we're on at the moment. So bear with us for that. But in the meantime, Ellie, can you please let the lovely people know where they can find you?
Yes, I'm Ellie_Haaland on Twitter. Loads of Chelsea and FPL stuff on there, and then Elizabeth Helenek on Insta, TikTok, and also follow me on YouTube. I also have my own FPL video, Game Week 28, out with Yelena, which was super cool. So if you want even more FPL content, you should check that out.
Brilliant. And Mez, where can the people find you?
You can only find me on Twitter. So I'm FPL Mez8 on Twitter, exclusively on Twitter. You might find me on my my daytime job and real world of things. Not that this is not the real world, but if you want to follow my highs and lows of this season, yeah, you can find me on Twitter.
Of which she's doing very well. So go check her out. Cool. Okay then, and that's it. Until next time, Nympria out. Bye guys.
When